Hey people, I hope you're doing well. I am Hannah, and I'm just coming on quickly to talk about curses that are put on your life as a chosen person. Okay, now I don't really like referring to myself as a chosen person. I much prefer chosen servant, but even still, I don't like calling myself a chosen servant either because I'm just doing what I'm guided to do by God. Whether I'm chosen or not, I don't know. But the signs are all there in my life, yeah. And today I saw something in black and white, which I already knew about, but it's actually there in black and white. It's something my father told me about when I still lived at home, which was before I went to uni. And it's something that has happened in a different way, but it's basically the same manifestation of the same thing, which I've talked about on this channel before. And basically now in the UK, well, definitely in England, I'm not really sure about the others. I can't really speak for the others, the other countries. You can access like summary of your like medical records and stuff online. And in your medical records, there's a section and it's called significant past. And it just like highlights like notable things that have been discovered, you know, like in your medical history. Like more things to like pick out. And it's usually like things that are like more serious. So there's two in mine that are there that are not accurate. They are reprobate projections by degenerate members of staff, like healthcare professionals. One was from 1991, which my father told me about when I was a teenager, and I just thought it was completely ridiculous. But it's there, it's true. So when I was a toddler, no, I think I was 4. Yeah, I was 4. I was jumping up and down on the sofa to the EastEnders theme tune. EastEnders is a soap opera in the UK. I'm not really sure if it's still on. Anyway, and then I jumped too aggressively and ended up falling off the sofa and landing on my wrist, and I fractured my wrist. So my dad had to take me to the hospital. And the healthcare professional that dealt with the situation accused him of abuse, and it's on my medical records. So after that incident, I was put on the child protection register with my father as the suspicious person to watch. That is spell work. That is monitoring spirits. That is just the general degenerate, demonic possessed people. Because since then in my life, so when I was in primary school, in the local park, in the playground, there was this I don't know, I don't know what to call it. It was like let's just say a toy. And basically you got on it, like you sat, yeah, like you kind of sat on it like you would do like a tricycle kind of thing. And then it spun round, and then I was on it with like a guy that was a bit older, and he decided to jump off the ride and then bounce his tire like onto the, I don't know what that surface is, that bouncy, softer surface that you find in playgrounds, like outdoor playgrounds for kids. So I went flying in the air. I didn't actually come off the ride, but I ended up bouncing back down on the floor really hard. But I landed on one of my feet, which basically made my foot blow up. It went completely black from being bruised. And there's nothing about that on my medical record. I had to go to hospital for that. That was actual abuse from a kid. There's nothing about when I broke my leg. That was an accident that I had. Nothing there. Nothing about that. But that is a curse that has been put on my life. That needs to be. It's nothing to do with my dad. It's nothing to do with me. But that's a curse that someone's put on my life that could have had very, very serious consequences, like being removed from my family. And I was literally having fun and had an accident. I was jumping up and down to the EastEnders theme tune. That is on my medical record. It's been on there since 1991. How do I get that off? That's literally, it's never been anything to do with me or anything to do with my family. That is literally psychosis from the brain of the degenerate reprobate who put it on there. Not only did my dad have to go and get help, so he was obviously concerned about the welfare of his daughter, he had to still get, be in the presence of that reprobate who he had to get help for my injury, at the same time as she was putting false accusations on him. That's the sort of thing, all them kind of false accusation stuff, that is spell work, that is curses. That's the things you read about in the holy books about what the prophets had to live through. That's the sort of bullshit. And people think that we don't know how to forgive or whatever, or we bring up the past. No, we are here to break those curses from the past that's on our ancestral lines. And the same thing happened to me last year when I tried to get help for trauma from being stalked, which a year later now, the same healthcare professionals who are now put on my medical records, paranoid ideation, have now acknowledged, because I've had blood tests and everything, that and I'm physiologically, like, it comes back normal, that I'm constantly in fight or flight from being stalked and harassed and targeted online and not being able to live a normal life. But is that been removed off my medical record? No. Has anybody ever been held to account for those false assessments? No. Do they ever get made to repent for causing harm? That is harm. That is hateful. That's racist. That's harmful. That's irresponsible. It's unprofessional. They should be going to meetings about their behaviour and their conduct as a medical professional to make sure that they're up to a certain standard. That's not meeting standards of care, appropriate standards of care. And it's getting worse now. Like, I'm sorry, but the NHS, people have got like some weird perception that we've got to be all nice about it and stuff. No, I worked in it for 14 years. I got bullied for all that time. It was subjected to institutional racism, sexism, to the point where I suffered burnout and my body broke down. Because my body was telling me that I needed to get out of such a dangerous place. It was not a very healthy place for me. It was just completely awful. That's what it did to me. And I had this false idea that I had to put up with that because I was in service and I was in a niche and blah blah blah, and I talked about that in my on my channel before. But no, that was my body screaming, saying this is not a healthy place for you, and it completely shut down. This happened in 2019 when I got basically bullied out of neurosciences by degenerate reprobates who also did rumours. It's the same sort of shit, but it's like we have to break the curses that our parents couldn't break. So obviously my dad did nothing about that. It's still on my medical record. No one's ever been held to account for that bullshit statement that's on my record, my medical records, even till now. But what is going through those people's minds who did that? Why would you do that? I was literally being a child. And I just got too excited and I had an accident, which is kind of similar circumstances to how I broke my leg when I was older as well. That was doing something fun. So it's exactly the same. And exactly the same as the incident when I was in the playground and the kid decided to jump off the ride, bounce the tyres. It was doing something fun. Every single time it was doing something fun. So for them to put that on my record and have me under child protection services because my dad had to just basically trust the system and go and ask for help from medical professionals because he can't heal a fractured wrist. I mean, it's completely disgusting. So now I'm going to figure out what I need to do to get those fucking things removed off my medical records or some sort of apology. Because that is the same shit but different fucking day. Like, however many decades later, more than 3 decades later. Still, no one's learning. No one's learning. Still doing the same shit to us. No. It's like, this is spell work. This is spiritual warfare. This is how it manifests in real life. This is black magic. And people need to be aware that Palestinians have black magic done on us all our lives. We're born with people doing that to us. And this is how it manifests in 3D reality. This kind of bullshit. Anyway, I'm here to say the curse is being broken. I've literally found it in black and white. And this is what you have to do, because you have to realise that your body holds trauma and you don't actually always know what it is. But that's the sort of thing that your body holds and you don't know what it is until you bring it to the light and it comes out of the shadows and into the light and you can raise awareness about it. I can speak about it now and share my experience. And then if somebody else is going through something similar or finds something similar about their life story, that could have affected their trajectory dramatically. Imagine if I got taken away from my parents because of physical abuse. False accusations of physical abuse. That is a complete and utter disaster. But that's the sort of thing that God must have protected my family from. That's the sort of protection that God brings you when there's nothing serious comes from it. How many people are on child protective watch lists now for the same sort of racist, degenerate, hateful, neurotic reasons? How many families have actually been split up for the same hateful, degenerate, neurotic, just because people have got no drama in their lives? Like, is it not dramatic enough that I was like got too excited at the EastEnders theme tune? I just don't really fucking thingy. And like, I remember when my dad told me, I was really dismissive to my dad because I just thought it was a joke. Like, I was thinking, what the frick? I actually, he will have been like, because my dad's quite a stoic man. That was really a vulnerable thing for him to do, to admit, because it's a shameful thing to go through, shameful thing to be accused of being a bad parent, and especially when he was going to actually do something to care for my health. Like, he knew his limits, he knew he couldn't heal a fractured wrist, so he had to go and access healthcare services to get the help from the trained professionals. And I don't even remember having a fractured wrist. Like, I don't remember much about the years when I was really, really little. Like, because like until I was 8 years old, I grew up in a different area of Manchester, and then it was only after I was 8 that we moved to the area that my family has been in ever since. So I don't really remember. I remember it being all white, and us being like the only brown family, or any family of colour. And you know, I remember racism. Just because people didn't know any other people like us, like we were a marvel. Like, so, and that area of the conurbation is still very white comparatively to other parts of the city. And I just remember my life changing as soon as I moved to the area where I live now, which is a lot more diverse and you just get people from all walks of life, like all different socioeconomic status, religion, ethnicity, colour, background, whatever, like all kinds of people. There was loads, like I remember like being shocked that it was like really vegetarian as well. It's famous for being like vegetarian and vegan. And like people already knowing what like hummus and stuff was, which never happened before. But it's weird that I'm having these kinds of memories now, which have just obviously been repressed somewhere. I'm having some like kind of like memory retrieval, but it's because like now we can access our medical records, and all of that was just like only seen by the people in front of the screens in the health sector, whereas now I can see that and see what's been written about me by these people that get given too much esteem in society, when they need to know when they're wrong. They need to apologize for when they're wrong. They need to admit that when they've done something wrong. They need to admit that they've caused harm, because that's a lot of harm. That's unseen harm. That's psychological damage. If my dad held on to that, it will have been like 15 years by the time, like almost between 10 and 15 years after that he told me about it. And I acted like really like nonchalant and blasé, and didn't really obviously give him the, didn't receive what he was telling me like in the most considerate way. Because I just thought it was bullshit. I was obviously not as mature then, but I just was like, what? Just completely perplexed as that to what he was telling me, because it just sounded so bullshit. And it is. It is. Even now, I still think it is. But I obviously was like, just now looking back, I did have the skills, but I wasn't as warm towards my dad, like confessing that to me. But that's a transgression against him. That's a transgression that nobody will have apologised for. Nobody probably will have got punished for. Nobody will have been held to account. He got falsely accused. I'll tell you something, yeah? It's way better to be falsely accused than it is to actually be the perpetrator. It's better to be the person in my dad's situation, and in my situation when I've got falsely accused of having psychotic ideation, or whatever it says, paranoid ideation, when I tried to get help for trauma of being targeted and abused and illegally surveyed, and all of the bullshit that's gone on from all the financial and tech terrorism that I've had to endure. It's better to be in our position than to be in their dickhead, degenerate, reprobate position, thinking that they're right, being arrogant, doing the accusing, causing the harm. It's always better to be the innocent person that's looked down upon than to be the arrogant dickhead, treating people as if they're nothing, taking advantage of your positions, like abusing your power, abusing your authority. It's better to be the person on the receiving end and having faith that God is protecting you, that you are protected, and that none of the bullshit's going to prosper. Always better. Anyway, that's all I came to say. The video's actually way longer than what I thought it was going to be. But I just wanted to point it out for other curse breakers out there, because that's what we are. We are the generational curse breakers, here to rid our ancestral lines of this kind of nonsense. And we're putting it all out there now. That's it. People have been doing spell work and bullshit like that on my life since before I was born. Look at where I am. I'm still here, man. I'm still not dead. Still not dead. So what was it for? What have you spent your money on? What are you still spending your money on? What are you still using your thought power for? I mean, it's there in black and white. The degenerate person who had those thoughts, projected that onto my dad, and the degenerate thoughts projected onto me. I'll tell you something. People in medical services and especially in the mental health services that I kept getting like swept up in, I'm convinced they have more mental health problems than the people like me who just need help for a situation. Like, and that really needs investigating. That should be someone's PhD. Someone should do that as a PhD. Investigate how people in mental health services, the professionals actually have mental health services, actually have mental health conditions that they project out. They are wounded and they project their wounding onto people and get people falsely captured in services and things based on their own biases. Yeah. That has definitely been my experience. It's annoying that my money's blocked and I can't just go and access the services that I need privately. Because there isn't well, you can get EMDR, you have to just go through hell, which I've abandoned the hell pathway. And just it's a humiliation ritual. Like, all of that is a humiliation rituals. Then, and for physio and stuff, I need specialist physio, that people that are sympathetic and accommodating for people with fatigue, so we don't always have post-exertion malaise after everything we do. So we're not always in pain trying to get help, because that's not going to work. Anyways, see you in the next video. Do the 3 things.